All right. Well, that was interesting. Okay. So, I'm going to give it a little bit more time for people to go ahead and get back. Basically, I had gone to intermission. I went to go and use the restroom. Got notification on my phone that, oh, your stream's done? Well, thanks for streaming with us. I'm like, wait, what? I didn't end the stream. I just went on break. So, sure enough, I come back in here after using the restroom, and I see that the little red light that tells me my internet is cut out again has flipped on. I'm like, great. I have someone coming out later today, now that we're past midnight, to go ahead and look at my system once again to see if we can stop this internet cutting out in the middle of a stream situation. Yes, yes. I mean, went a full 5 hours before it decided to go boop, boop. But that being said, once it crashes, I have only a little more time before it starts crashing again and again and again and again. That's the way it seems to work. Once I hit that moment where it starts wanting to crash, it starts crashing more and more frequently. So I'm hoping I'll be able to get another hour or two out of my internet before it goes down again. If it goes down again before then, I'll probably be calling it a night. But I want to see if we can make it at least to day 100 before events. So I'm going to hop back into it. Again, I am sorry my internet cut out while I was in an intermission. Thankfully, we could pick it right back up, and I was able to reset and power cycle my gear to get back online. Hopefully, crossing all the fingers here, cross the thumbs too, hopefully, we will go ahead and have a tech come out later today, and they will have magically found what keeps on causing the problem that all the other techs missed, and it won't happen again. But we'll see. All right. So we had just recovered from a storm not too long ago. We have stuff going up. We have 3 hothouses. We're cooking the food right as we're making it. All our resources are full. We're building up our food supply. Let's see here. Food is doing incredibly good. We're making getting close to double what we consume. We're still producing 2/3 more coal than we're consuming. So there we go. Yeah. This is almost never going to zero. Alright, here we go. Explore. Alright. Can't always trust tech. There are certain things that you should be able to go ahead and trust in. My opinion is internet this day and age should be treated like a utility. You would go ahead and catch hell if you had internet that was, if you had like electricity that was as reliable as internet is, or water, or sewer. If there were any major utilities that could get away with the standards of service that exists with internet, it would be something that would be, people wouldn't put up with it. They just wouldn't. Yeah, but this isn't the wireless router. I don't use wireless routers at all when it comes to my streaming rig. I get hardline because it's just what you gotta do. Interesting that I paused it there at 42 degrees. Wonder how many people get the reference. Probably not many. Okay, tip lettuce is stolen supplies. Dreadnought. Very Dreadnought. I like the little stories that are attached to all the items that are in here, and I want to see if I can go and get the relics. If I can go and get all 15 relics. That would be cool.
People of God, our wise leader declares work done for today.
There we go. Toxic trap. Resource, no problem spent on that. Okay. We got the case of an empty village. Huh. Explore. Buried Dreadnought? What? Throwing all the buried Dreadnoughts at me. I have 5 relics from the past. I'm gonna be grabbing. Bringing 3 more back. We're gonna hear a few more stories. Hmm. 3 of these, a piece of the past. Okay, speed this up. All right. Do I have any extenders on the line? No. No, literally, the way I set my rig up is wall goes directly to modem, modem goes into the router, then the router loops directly into my rig. Now that router switch, that router does have another line that goes into a separate wireless router that gives Wi-Fi for the rest of the apartment. So I do not directly hook into the wireless at all. I hook directly into the router that comes right off the modem. But the problem where the connection is failing isn't at the wireless router or the main router. It's failing at the modem. Because the only way to fix it is power cycling the entire modem. And that then fixes the entire rig. But the modem is telling me there's a problem with this signal. When I'm doing speed tests, the modem will work. But, you know. So, when they come, I mean, the only thing they haven't done at this point is swap the modem out. If it turns out that it was just a buggy modem this whole time, that just couldn't handle the load of what I'm putting it through, that'll be frustrating. Because if they swap it out for another modem and the problem still happens tomorrow night, then I'm like, okay, we thought it might be the in-ground cable. We set up a temp cable. That worked for a while. And then I started having the problems again. So we swapped the in-ground cable out for the temp cable. Then the temp cable has its line pinch, so we replaced that part of the temp cable. Then we go ahead and replace the modem. And if that doesn't fix it, we've fixed any point of failure at the home site. Which means that somewhere between where the cable comes to me in the house and the cable goes to the main line out on the street, from the main line to the closest nearest network, that's where the problem is. If that's the case, that's something they don't want to hear, because that means they have to inspect the entire line from my street to where the node is to see if there's any part where the line is damaged. And that's a lot of line. That's a big ask. That's why they have techs that come in and examine your equipment, and you'll go through like several different tech visits before they'll even consider visiting the line. Upside path, explore, another toxic trap, explore safely, boom. Explore. This one is going to require a steam core being spent. Explore safely. Boom. Alright. let's take a look at this. The case of an empty village. Abandoned fishing village. The gale hit when we were in the open. It was the strangest blizzard I have ever experienced, although I cannot say what made me feel that way. If it was the eerie wailing of the wind or the monstrous dark shapes formed by the billowing snow. When we finally got to the village longing for a warm welcome, we found only ice and silence. The disappointment was all the more hard to bear since I remembered the fishermen living there so well. They were cheerful, if somewhat coarse folk, hardened by the cold and the work of the sea. A close-knit community, but friendly to the outsiders nonetheless. We looked for clues to their disappearance, but found none. Apparently, the whole village moved out, taking everything they could with them, and to our astonishment, locking the doors. They were good people. I hope they will come back someday. So, that's just a weird thing. People just taking everything, abandoning their home. Yes, I know another Hulk site. I've already begun exploring all of the sighted Hulks. Come on, seriously. Seriously, game. Wait. I bet I could. So, this will take 9 hours. Okay. It'll be much quicker.
People of God, our wise leader declares work done for today.
So I did eat up some of my supplies. Go ahead and getting that all done. There we go. Cliffside path.
Bundle up. It's getting colder.
So it should be nice and tight. We'll bring it up a little bit more. There we go.
Starts. All workers double your effort for our divine leader.
First folio. Okay. Alright, let's take a look at this first folio. Okay. First folio. To the finder of this treasure. Thus sometimes doth the brightest day a cloud, and after summer evermore succeeds barren winter with his wrathful nipping cold. So cares the joys abound as seasons fleet. Remember, naught is all lost. The spring will come. Have hope and endure. With this I leave you and wish you courage. Henry Witherby, Bookworm. If I must die, I will encounter darkness as a bride, and hug it in mine arms. Wow! That's one way to say goodbye to the world. So, a series of haiku as a suicide poem? I mean, well, it wasn't really suicide. He knew his time was coming. But maybe it was just unavoidable for him.
Praise our inspired leader. You may retire for the night.
And this one's coming back with the Steam Core model. Alright. Go there. Alright, let's take a look at this. Steam Core model. The tragic loss of Dragonfly. The chest with the model was waterproof and remained afloat, but the safe containing the blueprints and other documentation presumably sank with the rest of the wreckage at the depth of at least 1,000 fathoms. The cause of the accident is at present unknown, but as exceedingly unlikely that anyone will ever read this report, I will allow myself the liberty to speculate that it was either a mechanical failure or pilot error. Contributing factors include weather, inadequate crew training, and the experimental nature of the aeroplane. It was a sheer folly on the part of Mr. Hawkins to attempt crossing in a largely untested machine, and utter criminal madness to let him board it. So, what I'm hearing here is this was a Steam Core model for a flying machine known as the Dragonfly, the first aeroplane. That was supposed to provide a way of flying that was not by dirigible or zeppelin, depending on which way you'd pronounce it. We got some warming going on. You know what? I don't know why I just run this at max heat, because
double your effort for our divine leader.
It's not like I'm gonna burn through the coal I'm producing. Might as well just put it on max heat. If I have it on max heat. Wow! Coal consumption jumps. We are actually nearing yellow flag. We are actually nearing our output. I'm rewatching Hunger Games. Oh, really? Oh boy. Is that the little girl?
People of God, our wise leader declares work done for today.
Cracked ice, huge crate. We'll go for the cracked ice first. Oof. Man, that tore me up. Man, when I saw that for the first time.
Work starts. All workers double your effort for our divine leader.
Boom, steam cores.
Work starts. All workers double your effort for our divine leader.
Use that because it's a known path. He'll travel faster. Then we'll go from the abandoned wreck to the abandoned campsite. Precious supplies. Okay. We'll go to the rock formation again. Faster path. Then, actually, we go here. That'd probably be even smarter. And as I get close to here, I can split off to the up right slit. Same concept, except I'll stop at the barren hollow.
Your labor is done.
Okay, come on. We have a spot for 7 more artifacts. Let's see if we can go and get them. How was your computer lost at a repair shop? That...
Brace yourselves. Cold is coming. Worship begins. May Lord
That-
preserve our great.
I don't know if I would be very happy about that. If my computer got lost at a repair technician's, ooh, I would... Livid would be the word. Okay.
Praise our inspired leader. You may retire for the night.
Literally ran past. You know what? I'm going to manipulate this game so hard to get faster travel speeds. We'll give it, I think maybe, we'll give it until it's just about a day. Yeah. When this one arrives at its destination, that one's probably close enough to theirs.
Bundle up. He's getting colder. Work starts. All workers double your effort for our divine leader.
Take the resources. Called it! Boop. Now let's see here. You. We'll go there. This time I'm manipulating the game with the much faster speed to known destinations to go ahead and be able to move faster. Because this time I want to get everything scouted before the next blizzard hits. And I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. This one needs to go ahead and when it arrives. This one needs to be half journey. You know what? Let's just go to that one. Location.
People of God, our wise leader declares work done for today.
There we go. That's close enough. Man, this one has 10 cores. This one has 5 cores. This is a oh, here comes the storm. It is 5 days out. Dang it. Okay. Alright.
Worship begins. May Lord preserve our great leader.
Okay. Supply depot. Yeah, it's gonna be a risk. Tip from True Believer, that's nice. You're gonna stay at base. Industrial ruins.
Praise our inspired leader. You may retire for the night.
Oh, this is such a gamble. I so want to go ahead and get all of the supplies. But I don't know how far this storm is out and when it'll start freezing things. Take all. It's going to take a day to get back. And it's still several days out. Okay. Alright. Yes! No resources left behind. Ha 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 ha! And they'll both be back in a day and a half, and it's still 3 days out. You see this game? You see this? With my little Trixie running back to known destinations, then off-verting to make distances easier and quicker to travel, I was able to get everything. Hey, Joshua. do my walkers ever break down or step on people's? Yes. You'll have one instance, I think, per session where a automaton will lock up in a building and you have to choose, do you want to disable the building for a day or the automaton for the day? So that does happen, I think, once per PlayStation. Also, you will go ahead and get one point where they will step on a person and you'll be given the choice of either reduce their functionality by 10%, slow them down for safety's sake, and then you get no more of them stepping on people. Or you could choose to not slow them down, and that makes them a constant danger whether they will step on a random person every once in a while, creating more and more people that are amputees. But of course, I mean, you know, if you're okay with that and you're willing to go ahead and print out prosthetics all the time, then maybe that extra 10% is worth it to you. It's really, that one I think is a personal choice. Although I prefer, you know, not having to spend resources just to possibly make resources, because I sometimes end up hitting like caps and just sitting there because I don't need to get more than that. Do the kids ever grow up? Not that I know of. No. But, I mean, okay. If you look at it this way, I'm in day 102. So, let's say, just throwing a kid age out there, the kids are around age 12. I haven't even made it through a third of the year, so it'd kind of be unrealistic for them to grow up in the limited time span that you play the game. I mean, I don't think there's many people that have games that have literally gone on for years. So it would be cool, though, if you, like, you know, had your first kid that was like age 12 and you literally had several years past the game, and then boop, the 12-year-old turned into an adult, and depending on what path you chose, child labor or child shelter, whether or not the children that you raise become workers or engineers. Like, example, if they had a system in that if you chose child labor, the likelihood of any of the children you raised becoming an engineer is like 10%. Otherwise, they're all workers. Or if you went child shelter, the numbers would flip, and you're like 90% chance of being engineers, 10% of being, well, no. Child shelter would leave them 50-50. But if you also signed the medical or engineer assistant, then it would be 90% chance of engineers, 10% chance laborer. That would be cool. But I just don't think they're going to go ahead and do that. But although I do think the long-term fallout of a city is kind of a cool little synopsis to have, but I don't think they really have that in mind for this game. Not on endless mode.
People of God, our wise leader declares work done for today.
So I am running this on the
Wrap up well, the frost is here.
Alright.
Work starts. All work
Another tip
double
on
your
supplies.
effort, our divine leader.
Oh, what's this over here? Oh, the storm's on the horizon. Thanks, game. I hadn't noticed. Like 2 days until the storm arrives. Ooh, 10 steam cores. Another 5 steam cores. 16 steam cores! Oh yeah! I'm definitely way too surplus on all of the supplies. So it's just beautiful. I suppose, though, I could just boppity, bippity, boopity, bippity, boppity, boopity, doopity.
People of God, our wise leader declares work done for today.
Large depot. There we go. Can't fit one there. Alright. It's getting to that point where space is becoming a high premium. Boop. All right. Let's see here. Wood, steel, food, coal, wood, and steel. Food, coal, food.
Work starts. All workers double your effort for our divine leader.
So I have this chunk of land here, this chunk of land here, and this chunk of land here. Everything else is pretty full. Suppose I could squeeze in a few more. Smaller structures there. Right now, this is all
People of God,
nice
our
and toasty in
wise
here.
leader declares work done for today.
So, just do coal, coal, food, there you go. Every little nook and cranny. And these dudes are still here. Food's still definitely coming through. Alright. Okay. In this playthrough, Joshua, I have not lost a scout team, but they can be lost, and there are many ways that you can lose a scout team. Now, there are more in the scenario modes than there are in endless modes to lose a scout team. Like, there are, in the scenarios, there are certain events where you'll get a choice on how to handle the event. And some of those events, there's some risk and reward variables. It's kind of like you could choose to play it safe, or you could choose to roll the dice and go ahead and lose a scout team in those events, where it's either you take the risk and get the reward, or you take the risk and lose your scout team, or you choose to not intervene and lose whatever's in there, but you're guaranteed that your scout team is safe. There's a lot of those in the scenario scout teams. In the endless scout teams, what they did instead of those kind of events, what you will run into often is only a couple ways your scout team can die. One is when exploring a dreadnought, and the other is when the storm moves in. If your scout team is caught in the storm, they're dead. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. They are frozen glacial rocks of deadness if they get caught in the storm. The second way a scout team can die in endless mode is when you explore a dreadnought. You're given 3 choices. Explore it safely, which is going to cost some resources, and depending on how dangerous it is, it's going to cost more resources. So the most dangerous dreadnought, the toxic trap one, is going to cost you a lot of wood, a lot of steel, and a steam core. If you want to, though, rather than spending those resources, you can explore it without preparing, and there's a high chance that your guys are going to die. But there's also a small chance that you can get the supplies and get out. So, there is that. Now, if you have a lot of wood and a lot of spare manpower, you could just throw people at that dreadnought and just let the bodies pile up until you could see about, getting the supplies out without spending those resources. There are other ones that are buried dreadnoughts, like the Abandoned Treasury, I think, is the easiest one, where it requires just a little wood, a little steel. And you guys will probably make it out right if you don't prepare for it, but it's still a chance they might die. I'm pretty sure you can send a new team in over and over and over and over again. But I haven't done that in a long while. I usually just play it safe, because usually I can just stockpile the resources. The third option, of course, is to not explore at all if you don't have the resources and you don't want to risk your team. So, the biggest reason why you would not go ahead and risk your team on this stuff is if it's a team that already has a bunch of supplies on it. Because if you have, like, say you had a scout team out and they picked up some steam cores here, they picked up some food there, they've picked up some steel and wood here and there, and they got some coal on them, and you find the dreadnought right as you were about to send them back home to drop all that supplies off, and then you choose to risk them on that dreadnought. If they die, all that loot's gone. Everything on them, it's gone. You're not getting that back. So if you're going to risk a team on not properly preparing the dreadnought before exploring it, always make sure it's a team that's got nothing on them. Never do it with a team that's got sweet fat loot on them. Get the loot back to base if you're not going to go and play it safe. No problem, Joshua. No problem.
Wrap up well. The frost is here.
And here is the storm. Everything's minus 90. And, of course, a lot of the houses are definitely still warm and toasty. But some of the side buildings are cold. Of course, that's a moderate risk of getting ill. But we can go ahead and, boom, kick on overdrive. And that gets everything to comfortable and living. And then, of course, as long as I don't run the overdrive to the point where the generated stress gets to 100%, and that will end the game.
Praise our inspired leader. You may retire for the night.
So basically, we're putting the generator into overdrive here. And you can see that by the sparks coming off of it, occasionally you'll see a panel rattle loose. Pressure valve relieving steam. Steam escaping out of pipes that it shouldn't. And these side panels just popping out like that. Of course, as the stress level gets higher, it'll start looking more and more like it's about to rattle apart. Start seeing the head pop off there. I love how they have that, where it just, the more stress you've put on it, the more extreme it starts acting. More sparks you start seeing flying off of it as it starts to fail to push to relieve the stress. Let's speed this up a little bit. And here we go. You get up to 60. %69 overdrive. That's the sweet spot for a one-day storm. And then it'll just cool down. Okay. And then we have more places to scout. All right.
Get to work. Praise our glorious leader with your labors.
Now, again, looking at this, we're producing more food than we need. We're producing more coal than we're burning. We have plenty of storage for wood and steel. I have no one sick. And that's because I don't let people get cold. Illness is tied directly to the weather in this. Now, things that you can do to screw up the health of your people. is if you go with the snow pit instead of properly burying bodies, if you let the snow pit get warm, the bodies will rot and disease will run rampant through your city. As long as you go ahead and let them stay frozen, you're fine. But then again, the only thing I have over here is basically supply depots. So everything over here can be as cold as it wants to be. I've got nothing over there that needs to be warm. But if I were to say have built that, like, say, right here, and then been silly enough to put this steam hub near it to where it started warming up, the bodies would start, the snow would melt off the bodies, they would unfreeze, they would start rotting, and then that putrescence would spread amongst my people, and people would start getting sick. Yeah. Hey, Toast. Melt, bringer of the warmth and fire. Yeah. So we have 16 steam cores. And of course, the number one thing you normally do with those is build higher end advanced machines. But every permanent resource node that I have has the most advanced machinery on them. We have industrial hothouses. They're working just fine. If I wanted to, I could go ahead and have them produce resources a little faster. So here, we'll use 3 of our corpses that we have in the graves there. I'll do the same here. And so that will basically cause me to produce a little bit more food for the next 24 hours in those 2 hothouses. But I've used all the bodies that I had on hand as fertilizer. Utilize the dead. 3 bodies will be used to enrich the soil and speed up plant growth. People fertilizer. But even with that, the raw food is getting cooked at these cookhouses that are being run by also another robot, another automaton. So the food is being produced faster than it's being consumed. I mean, the food is being cooked faster than I can produce it. Human plant go juice, yes. Miracle Grow, now made with more Soylent Green. Auto smelt melt. Well, yeah. I have advanced steelworks being run by automatons. So big steam powered robots. So they are auto smelting and melting. So right now the Ruby Midlander is going to refuel. So it just attaches right on the side of the steam generator, sucks up all that sweet steam juice to fill its tanks, and then it will pop off. And then go back to work. That sweet steam juice.